The young couple had been searching for their first home for months. Every weekend they would wake up early, drive through different neighborhoods and step inside house after house hoping to find something that felt like it could be theirs. Most of the houses were either too expensive, too small, or needed more work than they could handle. They were determined, though. They had saved every dollar they could, and their dream was not just to buy a house but to create a home filled with memories and warmth. They had imagined their lives in countless ways. Morning coffee in a cozy kitchen, quiet evenings in a comfortable living room, and even weekends spent gardening in a small yard. One Saturday morning, while scrolling through online listings, they stumbled upon a house that immediately caught their attention. It was small, a little worn down, and sat quietly at the end of a street lined with trees. What made it even more surprising was the price. It was well below anything else they had seen in the area. The exterior paint was faded, the lawn needed care, and the windows seemed a little tired, but the couple felt a spark of hope. It was like the house was calling to them. Something about it felt right, even if they couldn't put it into words. They called the realtor immediately, eager to see it in person. When they arrived, the house looked even more promising up close. The front door creaked as they opened it, and the wooden floors inside had a dull shine from years of use. The walls were plain and the rooms smelled faintly of old wood and sun-warmed air. Despite all that, the couple could imagine the potential. With a little paint, some new furniture, and their personal touches, this house could become the home they had dreamed of. They walked through each room slowly, imagining where they could put a sofa, how they might set up a small dining area, and where their beds would go. Every corner told them a story, or at least it invited them to imagine one. When they reached the basement, the realtor hesitated. The light there was dim and the stairs groaned under every step. She mentioned that the basement had some issues and would need work, but she didn't want to scare them away. The couple nodded, curious rather than concerned. Basements had always fascinated them. There was something mysterious about a space hidden below the main house, away from daily life. Maybe it could be a storage area, maybe a workshop, or maybe something more. They stepped down carefully, feeling the cool air brush against their faces. Dust floated in tiny clouds as they moved, and the smell was earthy, a mix of damp wood and old stone. At first glance, it seemed ordinary. It had concrete floors, plain walls, and a few old shelves that sagged under forgotten items. But as they walked around, they couldn't shake the feeling that this basement held more than just dirt and old boxes. Back upstairs, they continued to explore the rest of the house. The kitchen was small but functional, with cabinets that needed fresh paint and a sink that looked like it had seen better days. The living room had large windows letting in plenty of sunlight, and the bedrooms were cozy, perfect for their plans to make them comfortable and personal. The backyard was a little overgrown, but they could picture themselves planting flowers, trimming the hedges, and maybe even building a small patio for summer evenings. Each room they explored made them more excited. They could see themselves cooking, laughing, and growing in this house. They could see the potential for a life that was just waiting to happen. Over the next few days, the couple couldn't stop thinking about the house. They discussed it endlessly, imagining what it would be like to wake up there, make their morning coffee, and start their days in a space they owned. They talked about renovations, decorating ideas, and how they could fix the basement to make it more useful. There was a sense of adventure in buying an older home, something that felt like it was theirs to shape and care for. They also felt a quiet excitement about the unknown. The house seemed ordinary, yet the basement held a certain mystery, and they wondered what it might reveal once they started exploring it fully. It felt like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Finally, the day came when the purchase was finalized. Holding the keys in their hands, the couple felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. They had dreamed of this moment for months, and now it was real. They unlocked the front door and stepped inside, taking in every detail as if the house were welcoming them. The floors creaked under their steps. The sunlight filtered through dusty windows, and the air smelled faintly of old wood mixed with the scent of possibility. They walked through each room, imagining where they would place their furniture, hang their pictures, and make each space truly their own. It was overwhelming and thrilling at the same time. As evening approached, they decided to check the basement again. They carried a few boxes and a flashlight, ready to explore more carefully this time. The stairs felt solid under their weight, though they still groaned occasionally. The light from the flashlight danced across the walls, revealing more details. There were old nails in the wood, cracks in the concrete, and shadows that seemed to move as they shifted their gaze. The couple paused, looking around, and felt a mix of curiosity and unease. There was a strange quiet down there, a feeling of being in a space that hadn't been touched for years. It was dusty, musty, and dim, but it was also full of possibilities. They began moving the old shelves aside, discovering forgotten corners and hidden spaces. Each new discovery made their hearts race, and they shared excited whispers, imagining what they might find. In the days following their first night in the new house, the couple found themselves drawn repeatedly to the basement. Each time they descended the narrow stairs, they felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The dim light cast long shadows across the walls, and the smell of earth and old wood was both strange and comforting. They had spent the first evening cleaning and exploring, but now they wanted to examine everything more carefully. The reinforced corner of the basement continued to intrigue them. There was something unusual about it, something that hinted at secrets and stories they could not yet see. They started by inspecting the walls and corners more closely. Small details, which they had overlooked initially, began to stand out. There were faint scratches in the concrete, marks that suggested that the walls had been moved or altered at some point. Along the floorboards, dust had collected in patterns that looked almost deliberate, as if someone had been moving around the space carefully, trying not to disturb certain areas. In one corner, behind a pile of old boxes, they discovered a small panel that could be pried open with some effort. It was locked, and though they didn't know what was inside, the presence of the panel suggested there had once been something important hidden there. Curiosity grew stronger each day. They began taking small notes about everything they found, making sketches of the basement layout and marking areas that seemed unusual. The couple wanted to be methodical, not just randomly poking around. They moved old furniture and boxes to reveal hidden corners, uncovering forgotten items from previous owners. Most of these items were mundane, old tools, pieces of furniture, and stacks of newspapers. But mixed in with the ordinary, they began to notice things that felt out of place. A box filled with letters tied with string, a set of photographs in fragile envelopes, and a small wooden chest that seemed too well made for a basement storage area, all caught their attention. One rainy afternoon, while moving a pile of cardboard boxes, the couple found a notebook tucked between some old boards. Its cover was faded and the edges worn, but inside were pages filled with handwritten notes. The handwriting was neat, precise, and personal. As they read, they realized the notebook belonged to someone who had lived in the house decades earlier. The entries spoke of daily life, small joys and challenges. There were mentions of family gatherings, celebrations, and quiet moments spent alone in the basement. Some pages hinted at hardships, describing financial struggles, loss, and the effort to keep certain aspects of life hidden from the outside world. The couple was captivated. It felt as if the previous occupant was speaking directly to them, sharing a life they had never known. In addition to the notebook, they found a stack of old newspapers, carefully preserved as if someone had wanted them to survive time. The headlines were from decades ago, and the stories painted a picture of the era the family had lived in. As they turned the fragile pages, they discovered references to local events, births, and community happenings. One article mentioned a family who had experienced a house fire nearby and had struggled to rebuild. Another described a local celebration, capturing the way people came together to support one another. The couple could feel the sense of history in their hands, the layers of life that had unfolded in the very space they now occupied. The reinforced corner continued to draw their attention. They began examining it more carefully, looking for any clues about what might be hidden behind it. The wall was solid, but there were faint outlines that suggested it had once contained a door or panel. They noticed tiny scratches around the edges, perhaps from attempts to open it in the past. As they shone their flashlight, the couple saw small holes drilled into the wood, the purpose of which was unclear. Every new detail increased their curiosity and determination to find out what was hidden. It became almost a puzzle they needed to solve. There was a secret waiting to be uncovered. Their research extended beyond the basement itself. They visited the local library and town records office to learn more about the house's history. The previous owners had lived in the house for decades, keeping a low profile and leaving few records behind. The couple discovered that the house had once belonged to a family known for their privacy. Neighbors recalled seeing them occasionally but never learning much about their lives. This only added to the mystery. The couple felt a connection to the past, as if they were picking up the threads of a story left incomplete, and they were eager to understand it fully. As they continued to explore, the basement became a place of both work and wonder. They spent hours cleaning, organizing, and cataloging everything they found. Dust-covered shelves revealed old jars, bottles, and boxes, some filled with items that were now considered antiques. They found tools, clothing, and other household items that spoke of a life lived quietly and carefully. Each discovery was like a window into the past, revealing how people had used the space long before them. The couple felt a sense of responsibility, realizing that they were now caretakers of these memories. They wanted to preserve them not just for themselves, but as a tribute to the lives that had once unfolded in the house. One evening, while examining a particularly dusty shelf, the couple discovered a small locked metal box. Unlike the other boxes they had found, this one was heavy and well made, with no visible label or indication of its contents. They tried gently shaking it, listening for clues, but it remained silent. The couple speculated endlessly about what might be inside. Could it be money, jewelry, letters, or something even more unusual? The possibilities made their hearts race. They decided to be patient and careful, planning to open it methodically rather than rushing into it. The locked box became a focal point, a symbol of the basement's hidden history and the secrets it might hold. As the days turned into weeks, the couple grew more comfortable in their new home. They settled into routines, unpacking boxes, arranging furniture, and making the house feel lived in. Yet the basement remained a place of fascination. Each evening, they would descend the stairs, flashlight in hand, ready to explore a new corner, examine a new object, or uncover another piece of the house's past. They talked about the items they found, speculated on their origins, and shared stories about what life must have been like decades earlier. The basement was no longer just a storage area. It had become a place where imagination and history intertwined. Their neighbors began to notice the couple's interest in the house and its basement. Some offered stories recalling the previous occupants or sharing rumors about hidden treasures and secret spaces. While the couple remained skeptical of some tales, they appreciated the context these stories provided. It was clear that the house had been part of the community for a long time, and each detail they learned helped them piece together a richer understanding of its past. The basement, in particular, seemed to hold echoes of lives lived, challenges faced, and moments cherished, waiting for someone to rediscover them. The couple's excitement was not without moments of caution. They understood that old houses could have hidden dangers, and they took care to examine structural issues, check for mold, and ensure their safety. Despite these practical concerns, their fascination with the basement grew stronger each day. They felt a mix of responsibility, curiosity, and anticipation. Every new discovery felt like a step closer to understanding the full story of the house and the lives it had sheltered. One afternoon, while moving a stack of old wooden boards, they found a small collection of objects that seemed particularly significant. There were faded photographs, letters with frayed edges, and a few small trinkets that had clearly been treasured by their original owners. The photographs captured family moments, smiles frozen in time, children playing, and gatherings around tables. The letters contained personal thoughts, expressions of hope and worry, and glimpses into daily life. The trinkets, simple and worn, held sentimental value that transcended their material worth. The couple carefully arranged the items on a table, examining them one by one, and felt a deep connection to the people who had once lived there. As evening fell, the couple paused to reflect on their discoveries. The basement, which had C1 chilly evening as rain pelted against the windows, the couple decided it was time to tackle the small locked metal box they had discovered weeks earlier in the basement. They had spent countless hours pondering its contents, and the anticipation was almost unbearable. Sitting at a sturdy old table, they carefully examined the box, turning it over in their hands, noting the intricate design, the weight, and the sturdiness of the lock. There were no labels, no marks, nothing to hint at what might be inside. The mystery was complete, and yet it was thrilling. The couple fetched tools they thought might help them open the box. They worked methodically, trying to unlock it without causing damage. Their hands were steady but excited, hearts racing as they made small progress. After several attempts, the lock finally gave way with a subtle click. They exchanged a look of disbelief and excitement, then slowly lifted the lid. Inside was a carefully organized collection of items that seemed to have been preserved with great care. There were neatly stacked letters, delicate photographs, and small personal objects, each one telling its own story. The letters were tied in bundles with thin ribbons, each bundle containing messages written decades ago. As they carefully untied them, they realized the letters were personal and heartfelt, revealing the thoughts and emotions of someone who had lived in the house long before them. The writing spoke of joys, fears, hopes, and dreams, as well as everyday struggles. Some letters were addressed to family members who lived far away, while others seemed to be more private reflections, intended only for the writer's eyes. The couple read them slowly, savoring each word, imagining the life of the person who had poured their heart onto the paper. Each letter deepened their connection to the house and the people who had called it home. The photographs were equally captivating. They depicted moments frozen in time: children playing in the yard, family gatherings around a dining table, holidays celebrated with friends, and quiet, intimate moments captured in black and white. The couple carefully examined each photo, noting the expressions, the clothing, and the settings. Some images showed the basement itself, taken decades earlier, with shelves and objects arranged in ways that mirrored what they were discovering now. It was as if the previous occupants had left behind a visual diary, carefully documenting their lives and their surroundings. Among the letters and photographs were small personal items that seemed to carry deep sentimental value. There were pieces of jewelry, a pocket watch, and even a small handmade box with intricate carvings. Each item had been carefully placed in the box, preserved with care, as if the previous owner had wanted to ensure their survival. The couple handled each object with reverence, understanding that they were holding the tangible memories of lives that had unfolded in the very basement they now explored. The weight of history, of human experience, and of personal attachment was palpable, and it filled them with awe. The couple spent hours examining the contents of the box, carefully documenting everything they found. They took photographs, made notes, and discussed the possible stories behind each item. They realized that the basement had once been much more than a simple storage space. It had been a sanctuary, a place where memories were created and preserved and where personal histories were quietly protected. The reinforced corner, the locked metal box, and the careful organization of items all suggested that someone had gone to great lengths to ensure that these memories survived. In addition to the box, the couple discovered other hidden treasures within the basement. Behind some loose boards, they found a small collection of rare books, their spines faded and pages yellowed with age. The books contained handwritten notes in the margins, personal reflections and annotations that provided insight into the thoughts and interests of the previous occupants. Some were diaries, some were literary works, and some were simple notebooks filled with sketches and ideas. Each discovery added another layer to the story of the house, and the couple felt increasingly connected to the lives that had been lived within its walls. The couple also noticed that the basement had been designed with care and intention. The reinforced wall, previously mysterious, now seemed to have served a purpose beyond mere storage. It had been a private, secure space where valuable and meaningful items could be kept safe from harm. The attention to detail, the organization, and the preservation of items all spoke of a person or family who valued their memories deeply and had taken steps to ensure they endured. The couple felt honored to be the ones who had stumbled upon these hidden treasures, realizing that they had a responsibility to respect and protect them. As they continued to explore, they uncovered more letters and photographs tucked into unexpected corners. Some were hidden behind shelves, others were placed in the backs of drawers, and a few were even concealed beneath floorboards. Each item revealed a piece of the puzzle, providing glimpses into the daily life, challenges, and joys of the family who had lived there. The couple pieced together stories from the letters, connecting names, dates, and events, and gradually, a clearer picture of the past began to emerge. It was a story of resilience, love, and quiet determination, and the couple felt a deep sense of connection to the people who had come before them. One particularly fascinating discovery was a series of letters that described attempts to hide valuables during difficult times. There were references to financial struggles, unexpected hardships, and the need to protect important belongings. The couple realized that the basement had not just been a storage space but a place of refuge and security. The reinforced wall and the locked box were part of a larger plan to safeguard what mattered most. This revelation added a new dimension to their understanding of the house and the lives it had sheltered, and they felt a sense of awe at the foresight and care of the previous occupants. The couple also found evidence of creative and personal endeavors. There were sketches, small handmade objects, and notes that hinted at hobbies and interests. Some items were artistic in nature, suggesting that the previous occupants had used the basement not only for storage but also as a place to express themselves and explore their talents. The combination of practical items, personal mementos, and creative artifacts painted a rich and complex picture of life in the house. The couple felt increasingly invested in uncovering the full story, knowing that each new discovery added depth and meaning to their experience. Throughout their exploration, the couple discussed how best to preserve and organize the items they found. They wanted to ensure that nothing was damaged and that the history of the house was respected. They carefully cleaned delicate items, stored letters in protective sleeves, and arranged photographs in chronological order. Each step required patience and attention to detail, and they found themselves becoming increasingly meticulous and thoughtful in their approach. The process was both challenging and rewarding as they slowly uncove. After the discovery of the locked metal box and its precious contents, the couple felt a renewed sense of purpose in exploring the basement. Each day they dedicated hours to carefully examining the space, organizing the items they had found, and trying to uncover every hidden corner. The basement, once dusty and unremarkable, now felt like a portal into the past, rich with memories and secrets waiting to be understood. They approached every shelf, every crack in the walls, and every old container with curiosity and respect, knowing that each might hold another piece of the puzzle. They began documenting everything meticulously. Photographs were taken, notes were written, and sketches of the basement layout were made. They wanted to keep track of where every item had been found, understanding that the arrangement itself could tell a story. It became clear that the previous occupants had been deliberate in how they organized their belongings. Some items were placed for easy access, while others were carefully hidden, suggesting that they were valued or required protection. The couple marveled at the thoughtfulness of this system and felt a growing connection to the people who had once lived in the house. One afternoon, while moving an old shelf that leaned heavily against the wall, the couple discovered a narrow crawl space hidden behind it. The entrance was small, almost inconspicuous, but with a little effort they managed to access it. The crawl space was tight and dimly lit, but it contained a collection of items that had been carefully tucked away. There were more letters, some faded and others surprisingly well preserved, along with small wooden boxes and bundles wrapped in cloth. The couple carefully removed each item, treating them with utmost care, and laid them out on the basement floor for closer examination. It was a treasure trove of memories, each item offering another glimpse into the life of the house's previous occupants. Among the items, they found a series of personal diaries. The diaries were filled with detailed accounts of daily life, thoughts, and reflections. The handwriting varied, suggesting that multiple family members had contributed over time. The couple read passages that described ordinary moments, meals shared, chores completed, walks taken in the neighborhood, but also extraordinary ones, such as the excitement of holidays, the challenges of illness, and the quiet triumphs of overcoming difficulties. The diaries provided an intimate window into the past, allowing the couple to understand the emotions, relationships, and resilience of the people who had lived in the house. It was both humbling and inspiring to read about lives so different from their own, yet connected through the shared experience of home. The couple also discovered small collections of valuable items hidden in the crawl space. Antique coins, rare trinkets, and even a few small pieces of jewelry were carefully preserved in cloth pouches. Each item had been placed with intention, suggesting that the previous occupants had wanted to ensure their safety. The couple was astonished at the thought that such treasures had been hidden in what seemed like an ordinary basement. It became clear that the basement had served multiple purposes, as storage, as a personal sanctuary, and as a place to safeguard items of both sentimental and material value. As they explored further, they uncovered evidence of the family's creative pursuits. There were sketches, handcrafted objects, and notes detailing plans for small projects. Some sketches depicted the house itself, drawn with careful attention to detail, while others illustrated imaginative scenes, perhaps exercises in storytelling or artistic expression. The couple realized that the basement had been more than a physical space. It had been a place of mental and emotional refuge, where the family could pursue their interests, record their thoughts, and create lasting memories. The discovery made the couple appreciate the depth and richness of the lives that had unfolded in the house. The reinforced wall continued to intrigue them. While they had previously explored the crawl space and opened the metal box, they had not fully investigated the possibility of additional hidden compartments. With careful examination, they noticed subtle differences in the wall's construction. There were faint outlines that hinted at a concealed door or panel. The couple speculated that there could be another secret waiting to be revealed. They discussed possible ways to access it safely, considering tools and methods that would not damage the structure or the surrounding items. The mystery of the wall added another layer of excitement and anticipation to their exploration. The couple also took time to research the history of the house and its previous occupants. They visited the local library, consulted historical records, and spoke with longtime residents of the neighborhood. They learned that the family who had lived in the house for decades had been private, keeping much of their life out of the public eye. The community remembered them as quiet, hard-working people who valued their home and family above all else. This background information helped the couple contextualize their discoveries in the basement. They began to understand why certain items had been hidden or preserved, and why the space had been organized with such care. As they continued their work, the couple became increasingly aware of the emotional significance of their discoveries. They realized that the basement was a repository of memories, a place where the family had preserved their experiences, triumphs, and challenges. Every letter, photograph, and personal item told a story, and the couple felt a deep sense of responsibility to honor those stories. They discussed ways to preserve the items and document their findings, understanding that they were custodians of a rich and meaningful history. The couple also began to notice patterns in the arrangement of items. Some objects were placed in chronological order, while others were grouped by theme or personal significance. The organization suggested that the previous occupants had a clear sense of what was important and had taken care to maintain the integrity of their collection. The couple admired the thoughtfulness and foresight, realizing that the basement was more than just a storage space. It was a carefully curated archive of life. Each discovery reinforced their sense of connection to the house and the people who had lived there. One particularly moving discovery was a bundle of letters written during a difficult period in the family's history. The letters described financial struggles, health challenges, and moments of personal loss. Despite the hardships, the tone of the letters was hopeful and determined. The family had worked together to support one another, finding strength in their relationships and resilience in the face of adversity. The couple was deeply touched by these letters, feeling a connection not only to the family's experiences but also to their courage and perseverance. It was a reminder that the basement had been more than a physical space. It had been a place of emotional sanctuary and resilience. With each passing day, the couple grew more connected to the house and its hidden basement treasures. They had spent weeks cataloging letters, photographs, diaries, and personal items, piecing together the lives of the previous occupants. Every object told a story, and every story brought them closer to understanding the family that had lived there long ago. The reinforced wall, crawl spaces, and hidden compartments had revealed secrets and treasures that no one else had seen for decades. The couple felt a profound sense of responsibility to preserve these memories and honor the lives that had unfolded in their knee. A home the basement had transformed from a dusty, dimly lit space into a living archive of human experience. The couple spent hours each day exploring its corners, organizing items and reflecting on the stories they uncovered. Some days they focused on photographs, carefully noting dates, locations, and faces. Other days they read through letters and diaries, uncovering moments of joy, sorrow, and resilience. Each discovery offered insight into the lives of people who had lived quietly, protecting their memories and treasures in this hidden space. The couple felt a mix of admiration and awe for the care and thoughtfulness that had gone into preserving these items. One afternoon, While examining a corner of the basement that had been partially hidden by old furniture, the couple discovered a small, carefully sealed envelope. It was addressed to no one in particular, and the handwriting suggested it had been written decades ago. Inside, they found a letter that explained the purpose of the reinforced wall and the locked compartments. The letter described how the family had faced financial difficulties, health challenges, and personal losses, and how they had used the basement to safeguard their most treasured belongings. It explained that the reinforced wall was meant to protect items of both sentimental and practical value, and that the hidden compartments had been designed to preserve memories and personal stories for future generations. Reading the letter, the couple felt a deep connection to the family, understanding their intentions and the thought that had gone into creating this hidden space. As they continued to explore, the couple uncovered more personal items that reflected the family's creativity and resilience. There were handmade decorations, carefully crafted objects, and small artistic projects that revealed the family's interests and talents. The couple marveled at the care and effort that had gone into creating these items, recognizing that the basement had been a place where the family could express themselves, record their thoughts, and maintain a sense of personal identity. Each new discovery added richness to the story of the house and deepened the couple's appreciation for the lives that had unfolded within its walls. The couple also began to notice patterns in how the items were arranged. Some were grouped by theme, such as family events or holidays, while others were organized chronologically. The level of detail and thoughtfulness in the arrangement suggested that the previous occupants had a strong sense of the importance of preserving their memories. The couple felt a sense of responsibility to maintain this organization, treating each item with care and ensuring that the story remained intact. They realized that the basement was not just a collection of objects, but a carefully curated archive of human experience, worthy of respect and preservation. In addition to the letters, diaries, and photographs, the couple discovered a small collection of heirlooms that had been hidden in the reinforced wall. There were antique coins, rare trinkets, and small pieces of jewelry, each carefully wrapped and preserved. The couple marveled at the thought that these items had survived decades in secret, protected from damage and loss. The presence of these heirlooms reinforced the idea that the basement had been a place of both practical and emotional significance. It had been a sanctuary for the family, a space where they could protect their most valuable possessions while maintaining a sense of privacy and security. The couple spent time researching the historical and monetary value of some of the items. They discovered that a few of the objects were quite rare and potentially valuable, but they were more interested in their sentimental and historical significance. The stories behind the items, the connections to the family who had lived in the house, and the insight into daily life decades ago were far more meaningful than their market value. The couple felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that they were preserving these memories and giving new life to the stories of the past. As they continued their work, the couple began to share their discoveries with friends, neighbors, and even local historians. The stories of the hidden basement treasures, the letters, photographs, and personal items captured the imagination of those who heard them. People were fascinated by the thought that such a rich and detailed history had been preserved in what seemed like an ordinary basement. The couple felt proud to be part of uncovering and sharing these stories, understanding that the house and its basement held lessons and inspiration for others as well. The couple also considered how to best preserve the items for the long term. They researched archival techniques, protective storage, and proper handling of fragile objects. They created a catalog of the items, including photographs, descriptions, and notes about their significance. This careful documentation allowed them to keep track of their discoveries and ensured that the history of the house would be preserved for future generations. The couple felt a growing sense of responsibility, recognizing that they were not just homeowners, but caretakers of a unique and meaningful collection of memories. One particularly moving moment came when they discovered a series of letters that described personal challenges and triumphs. The letters revealed the family's struggles with illness, financial difficulties, and personal loss, as well as the ways they had supported one another through these challenges. Reading these letters, the couple felt a deep sense of empathy and admiration. They realized that the basement had been more than a storage space. It had been a place of refuge, resilience, and hope. The family had used the space to preserve their memories, protect their valuables, and maintain a sense of stability in difficult times. The couple also began to reflect on their own lives and the ways in which they could honor the family's legacy. They considered creating a small exhibit within the basement to display some of the items, allowing visitors to appreciate the history and stories preserved there. They thought about writing a detailed account of their discoveries, including the history of the house and the family, to ensure that the stories would be accessible and understood. The basement had become a place of inspiration, encouraging them to think about the importance of memory, history, and connection. As the days turned into weeks, the couple continued to uncover hidden corners and items within the basement. Each discovery brought new insights and stories, deepening their understanding of the family who had lived there. They found evidence of holidays celebrated, personal milestones achieved, and moments of quiet reflection preserved in letters, photographs, and objects. The basement was a living record of human experience, capturing the essence of a family's life and preserving it for future generations. By the end of their exploration, the couple had transformed the basement into a carefully organized archive of the past. They had uncovered letters, diaries, photographs, heirlooms, and evidence of creative pursuits, all of which told the story of the family who had lived in the house. The reinforced wall, hidden compartments, and careful organization of items had revealed the thoughtfulness and care of the previous occupants. The couple felt a profound sense of connection to the house and its history, understanding that they were now custodians of a unique and meaningful collection of memories. The basement had become more than just a physical space. It was a bridge between past and present, connecting the couple to the lives of those who had come before them. Each day spent exploring, documenting, and preserving the items brought a sense of purpose and fulfillment. The couple felt honored to be part of this ongoing story, knowing that their efforts would ensure that the memories and treasures of the past would not be lost. They had discovered that a bargain house could hold extraordinary secrets, and that ordinary spaces could contain extraordinary stories. In the end, the couple realized that their first home had given them far more than they had ever imagined. It was not just a place to live. It was a place of discovery, connection, and reflection. The basement, once overlooked and underestimated, had become the heart of their exploration, a space that revealed the resilience, creativity, and love of a family long gone. The couple felt a deep sense of gratitude, knowing that they had uncovered and preserved a story that might otherwise have been forgotten. The experience changed the way they viewed their home and their role as its caretakers. They understood that the house held memories, lessons, and inspiration, and that the basement was a symbol of the importance of preserving history and honoring those who came before. The couple felt a renewed appreciation for the ordinary spaces in their lives, recognizing that even hidden corners could hold profound meaning and surprise. The basement had become a place of discovery, reflection, and connection, and the couple knew that its stories would continue to inspire them for years to come. By the conclusion of their journey, the couple had fully embraced the significance of the basement and its hidden treasures. They had uncovered letters, photographs, diaries, heirlooms, and creative works, each item revealing the lives, struggles, and triumphs of the family who had lived there. The reinforced wall and hidden compartments had provided a safe haven for these items, allowing the family's memories to survive for decades. The couple felt honored to be the ones who had rediscovered these stories and committed to preserving them for future generations. The basement, once dusty and unassuming, had become a place of one,